main achievement is now the teachers know the importance of environment education, and now we have come to introduce to them about environment education for sustainable development. With the schools, they have known the importance of environment. The communities have also known the environment education importance.
Lake Victoria is a shared ecosystem. It is shared by 3 countries, Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. And within the catchment of Lake Victoria, there is a lot of activities going on that have impacted negatively on Lake Victoria. Some of these include some of the agricultural activities going on, deforestation and degradation of the soils, overfishing going on in the lake, and there's also pollution from some of the factories and the cities found around the lake. These have resulted in the eutrophication of the lake. They have resulted in declining catches of fish due to overfishing. There is also a declining variety of fish within the lake, especially the indigenous species, which have been affected by some of the introduced species. The water hyacinth has invaded the lake and has affected a lot of the activities. This is due to some of the pollution as well as the pesticides coming and the nutrients coming down through the rivers into the lake. The catchment of the lake supports a population of over 35 million people. It's one of the area within East Africa that's very, very highly populated. Poverty levels are high, many people, over 50% around the lake, and $1 a day. And so you've got many other problems facing them. Disease levels are high, malaria is very prevalent in the area, and the area has also suffered very, very much from the HIV/AIDS pandemic. Due to all these problems that have been mentioned, it was decided that education would be a good way to address some of the problems within the catchment. The project that we have is called the Lake Victoria Catchment Environmental Education Program. The purpose of the program is basically to try and address some of the problems through equipping the people who live within the catchment with the skills to make decisions about how to manage their environment. Therefore, an environmental education program that looks at schools, school children, their teachers, and their communities was designed, and this is the Lake Victoria Catchment Environmental Education Program.
All over the world, we are facing the important and urgent challenge of reorienting education towards learning for sustainable development. Learning for sustainable development is essential for each and every one of us. It helps us to develop knowledge, motivation, skills and values to actively participate towards a more sustainable future. It goes right across all subjects, and it concerns anyone involved in formal, non-formal or informal education. It includes many perspectives: social, economical, ecological, from local to global, from the past to the future. It involves democratic processes and holistic and critical thinking and giving action competence, and it is a lifelong learning.
Before I joined this program, at first misitu ya hapa tulikuwa tukipanda miti huko chini kama blue gums, tunapanda near the swamp. After learning mafunzo, baada ya kupata mafunzo huko LVCEEP wildlife, tukajifunza ya kwamba huko near the swamp we need to plant indigenous trees and then 30 meters away from the swamp you just plant blue gums. Na imetusaidia sana, tumepanda miti, tumetenga bahali, tunachenga forest, tunapanda forest miti yetu. Alafu inatusaidia sana. We just learned a lot that we were using a lot of firewood before with the 3-stone fire ile ya mawe tatu, na ilikuwa nachukua kuni mingi sana, and we have been clearing the whole bush because we use a lot of firewood. But after returning from training, tukafundishwa how to conserve that firewood. So we have planted indigenous trees na blue gums. We have just made a few forests, and then we use this little tree firewood in this modern fire chiko. Pale tulitoka hiyo mafunzo kutoka WCK Wildlife Care. We have seen that each and every family use a little time to make food with very small firewood, and our environment imeleta hewa safi, inji imekaa mzuri, not like the past years before we learn all these things. Yeah, now at the swamp we are not digging there because we have learned that swamp helps us to keep all those animals. Nearly everybody in our village has learned how to plant trees, how to make that chico, how to conserve his firewood, to make little firewood.
They would go down there with their animals. Nobody cares, They would just let the animals graze over in the wetlands, destroy the water, the watering sources. The cows would urinate there. The cows would put their dung there. And the same water was being used by the community for the daily cause.
The catchment is huge. And so we have started off by working within some specific target areas. And specifically, we have tried to focus on the river basins, on the major rivers that feed the lake. So for Kenya and Tanzania, we are working with the Mara River, along the Mara River. And the Mara River feeds the lake, enters the lake in Musoma. And so we're working with communities around there. In Uganda, we're working with the Katonga, within the Katonga River system. And we have started within the lower catchment in Masaka district. Primary, we are working with teachers. These are teachers in primary schools. We're also working with the tutors in the teacher training colleges, and specifically the teacher training colleges for primary school teachers. We're also working with the students, the pupils themselves, in the target schools. And within those target areas, we are working with the communities. With the teachers, we are carrying out training activities. This is repeat training where we are carrying out training for the teachers, all the teachers in the school. With the students, we have various activities within the schools, greening initiatives. And then within the communities, based on the needs that they have, we are also supporting the communities.
Hali ya shule kabla ya mradi wa WWF, shule ilikuwa na tatizo la upungufu wa miti, na kutokana na hali hiyo basi majengo yalikuwa yakizuiliwa mara kwa mara. Vile vile kulikuwa na tatizo kubwa la mmomonyoko wa udongo wa ardhi, lakini sasa hali hiyo tunaona kwamba kiasi imeboreka, na tulikuwa na tatizo la utupaji taka ovyo kabla ya mradi.
Our schools, most of them, before they joined the program, they were almost naked.
Yes, before the program started, the situation in the schools was very different, in the sense that you'd find the schools were all, there was nobody caring about the compound, nobody cared about the rubbish. There was no seriousness commitment towards environmental issues as such. And the similar situation was observed in colleges.
The teacher primary colleges did not know anything about the environment education at all. It was a new thing for them, although they had heard about it, that it's been integrated into the curriculum, but they were not aware how to do it. Because the communities were making bricks in the wetland. They were not aware of anything about environmental education. They were not aware of importances of the wetland. All they knew was like, yes, they say the wetland, yes, the wetland will provide us with water. But what about water? We've been with wetland for almost, our grandparents have seen these wetlands, but what about them? So you're telling us not to cultivate or construct houses in the wetland. Where are we going to be? All our soils have gone into the wetland. So you want us to stay there and then starve to death? So basically they were all reclaiming the wetland, hunting the animals, bush burning, basically all completed to finish the wetland. And they have no wetland, so that for them they want food for today, but not wanting food for tomorrow. All they wanted was complete.
When we came in, they were using and behaving in a traditional way to exploit this resource. And in many ways, using the traditional methods of fishing, the traditional methods of crafts making, the traditional methods of brick making.
Within the community setting, a lot of factors that were leading to environmental degradation were happening. And these were mostly related to overstocking and free-ranging livestock keeping. There was a lot of tree cutting, and this was because of charcoal production, because people need that for heating and cooking. There was also a lot of firing. This was related to stimulating green flash in the areas because these people are herders, but also they wanted to do away with ticks. These are the parasites that are attacking the livestock. But we had other problems related to water resources, and this is about fish. The fishing methods that were employed by then were really very destructive to the fish resources. But the other thing within the communities we see, they were lacking the legal aspects of trying to manage the natural resources. They had no bylaws to help them try and enforce. We have been training them and we have helped them to formulate some of the environmental related bylaws, which are now being effected to control the illegal actions against the environment. But after the training, so some of these out-of-class activities, which is now the environmental greening activities, which includes the tree planting, the grass, the control soil erosion through a number of ways, maybe pegging, spreading gravels, and sometimes even trying to make some gutters to control water, which is free running, they are now doing. So this has helped really to make the school environments more beautiful, more attractive, and they look like learning centers now. The curriculum has been greened. The school kids to be more active, more creative, more participative, and this has direct bearing on the improved academic performance in those schools.
Kabla huu mpango ujaja, shule ilikuwa haijapendeza vizuri. Baada ya mpango kuingia, tulianza kuboresha shule yetu na kupanda miti na kuanzisha michezo mbalimbali ya shule kama ngoma hizi tulizokuwa tunacheza hapa, na walimu kufundisha kwa bidii sana na kuzingatia utunzaji wa mazingira yetu haya shule. Na pamoja na vijiji na huko vijijini tuliwaambia wanakijiji wote kuna nanili kilitokea mapungufu ya kuni, yani ukataji wa miti ovyo ovyo wanaotuharibia mazingira. Tuliwajengea majiko banifu kwa ajili ya upungufu wa kuni ili kuboresha mazingira na mazingira yetu yaweze kupendeza, na tukawaambia wapande miti katika vijiji vyao na kuboresha mazingira yetu.
Mradi huu tunafanya kazi baada ya kuwa mradi umeingia wa WWF. Walimu wote tulipata washa, na hiyo washa tuliporudi tulifanyia kazi, na hiyo kazi hizi tunafanya pamoja. Walimu wote tunashiriki pamoja na wanafunzi, na hatimaye tumeweza kuhusisha na jamii ambayo inatupatia nguvu ya kuweza kuendeleza mradi huu, maana wanatupatia vifaa kama silesha, makwanja hayo kwa ajili ya kufyeka, wanatupatia vyombo kwa ajili ya kusomba kokoto ili kudhibiti mmomonyoko wa udongo, na wanatusaidia vifaa mbalimbali ambavyo vinatuwezesha hata kuandaa mashimo ya taka, na kwa hiyo pia wanaruhusu watoto hata kumwagilia hivyo vitaro tunavyokuwa tumeviandaa.
Before we joined, we are green about what we are doing. Our farming methods were very poor. We had little skills about farming and keeping animals. And
before we joined this program, our farming facilities were not all that good because we used to occupy the wetlands. We used to cut papyrus without leaving it to grow up. We used to dig up sand from the wetlands. But
then the communities, we had trainings. We asked the communities, so what can we do with you in order to leave these wetlands? They said, unless you give us something else, an alternative for us to do so that we get money. Because we asked them, why do you go there? Because we're going to get money. When we grow vegetables in the wetland, we get money for salt, for paraffin, for at least medicines, just maybe a headache or fees or clothes for our children. So if we have something else, then we can leave the wetland because we know the wetlands are important, but we can't leave, we can't die when our wetlands are there.
Before I joined this program, we used we didn't mind about the swamp there. We used to dig, to cut trees, but later when Mrs. Ada came, she explained to us that you should stop. When you are cultivating, don't stop, don't go near the swamp, and that you can use things from the swamp, like palm leaves, like those which we saw where we make baskets. So we get things from there and then we use them as crafts.
When we have a school committee meeting, we introduce environmental education issues. We introduce and we ask them at least to plan something about environmental education. So they raise their views and we take their ideas and integrate them into the school plan.
Even in our syllabus, we learned about environment, and more so we in our exams we are given questions and we answer them. We can reason even what we are doing in our school compound, and we answer them. That can be free mark, because you just reason what is in your compound and you answer.
One of the things which is supposed to be checked is whether all the teachers have at least infused the environmental education concept into their subject syllabuses.
We have the teachers, and when we are handling the school approach method, the teachers are assigned responsible duties, and each teacher is given a task. For example, you have seen we have plots here, so you find that at least a teacher is given a class to come and work on, and so on. And the whole school approach also does not mean we only work with the school community. We also have the entire community outside who always meet on the 14th of every month to come and do some maybe tree planting, seed planting, so on. Yeah.
Yes, we have got the action plan, the school's action plan. If we were, for example, we planned that from January up to June, we have maybe to make sure that the wastes are managed properly. So after those months have been completed, then we evaluate. We sit down and see how far we have gone.
Have you planted trees at your home?
Yes, I've planted many trees and I have a tree nursery. Yes, I can use it. For example, building the house, my parents can benefit it from building the house. They cannot buy from outside. And I can benefit it when I want the money to use at school, I can go and sell it. When we were told about conservation of environment, that I saw that it can benefit us when we conserve environment. Like the dry season, when we don't have trees, it can be long time for rain to come. Now it is better we plant trees so that we can have rain.
But in fact, there are so many things that we have learned and benefited from this program. One of them is teaching and learning methods. This program encouraged participatory approach. When you are conducting this participatory approach, when you get into the classroom, don't regard yourself as if you know everything, as the know-all. You should at least start with the pre-knowledge. What do you ask them? What experience? What do they know about the topic which you want to introduce? You start with that. Also, participatory approach encourages group discussion. So you don't come up with answers. You pose the topic. You give them maybe books in groups. They study. Then they give their ideas. Maybe you give them questions in groups. They study and they discuss. And after that, you allow them to present.
Formally, when we were making or planning the scheme of work, we head into the column of cross-cutting issues. But nowadays, we do put the column of cross-cutting issues, one of them being the environmental issues.
Nowadays, teaching has become more practical as we have engaged ourselves in this conservation of the environment. For example, a subject like social studies, where we learn about our forests. So it is no longer a matter of talking about a forest which is far from us, but we can talk of a forest which we have, a mini forest. So it becomes a point of reference when we are talking of the other forests.
Oh yes, now we are focusing mainly on cooperative learning. One child with knowledge or skills or ability can have a group of children and they all come to share the same knowledge.
For the pupils, we have got a school baraza. A school baraza is a whole school meeting whereby pupils meet with teachers and they exchange ideas. They discuss together about different matters pertaining to the school.
So they have that opportunity now of deciding on what to do because they are the participants. The teachers are mainly instructors and supervisors.
What they are taught here is taken directly to their parents. So it has got a kind of multiplier effect because we teach them here, then when they go there, they induce that knowledge to their parents.
We have had seminars whereby we invite the community members to come. Like now when the schools are closed, we invite the community members so that we can give them ideas about environmental conservation.
A community group that meets on the 14th of every month. All right? And from there, there's a lot that we share. They give us ideas of what activities they are doing within their environment. When we have it, instead of using money as a resource, we now have the real food. So you simply buy that one, and I think it keeps us going, because when you compare to other sister schools, there are no things like this, although we are trying to disseminate the same information. I think now, when you look at our school, first of all, the environment alone can tell you that I think these people are doing a lot on EE activities. Visit their homes, you would find at least each teacher is having a kitchen garden and so on, growing vegetables. For us, we want to avoid this business of moving every time to markets. For what? When we have hands. Through the program of LVCEEP, one changes attitude towards positive thinking to the environment.
Most of the work in class is now practical. So this one has helped the pupils to perform well in class. So the performance is now high the school is now the best in the division, and it was second in the district.
Mimi jinsi ninavyoelewa kuhusu elimu na maendelezo ni pale ambapo wanavyoshirikiana na kuboresha mazingira yao. Yaani wanapanda miti katika vijiji vyao na hata shuleni wanapanda maua, miti na kupanga mawe shuleni kwa ajili ya kuzuia mmomonyoko wa udongo. Ni kweli kwamba tutaendelea kupata mabadiliko jinsi tunavyozidi kuboresha mazingira yetu. Kwa sababu vitu ambavyo tulikuwa tuvifanye vinaonekana hadi sasa. Maana kwanza tunapanda miti ya kuboresha mazingira na ramani tunachora ndani ya shule yetu. Na tebo pale walimu walishatuandalia kwa ajili ya wanafunzi wasiofahamu tebo. Na ramani ya nchi ya Afrika Mashariki imechorwa pale kwa ajili ya kujua mabara mbalimbali. Kwa hiyo mimi naona kwamba ili tuboreshe mazingira yetu, naona kwa katika mwaka ujao sasa tutakuwa tumezidisha zaidi hapo. Mazingira yetu yatakuwa yamependeza zaidi.
Mtafanya nini zaidi?
Zaidi tutakayofanya ni kuboresha mazingira na kuongeza miche ndani ya shule yetu na kutengeneza vitu ambavyo ni pungufu ndani ya shule hii. Ili mazingira yetu yapendeze, shule yetu naona walimu wameanza kuiboresha. Wangeisakafu chini kwa ajili ya madarasa yenye vumbi na hayo mawe sakafu. Shule ingeanza kupendeza na mazingira yaliyoko. Katika mazingira haya, mpango. Mimi mwenyewe nimeshiriki kwa kuboresha mazingira yetu.
Kwa kufanyaje?
Maana nilikuwa napata miti huko na leta tunapanda hapa shuleni. Tunachora ramani ya shule na tunatafuta mawe kwa ajili ya kupanga hapo kwa kuzuia mmomonyoko wa udongo. Na nyasi ambazo ziko pale kwenye bendera tumezipanda na kupanda maua kwa ajili ya kuboresha mazingira yetu.
In Uganda, one of the activities that has been taking place with the communities has been the introduction of alternatives to the use of the wetlands. There has been training in craft making, the use of a sustainable way of using the environment, and the community members have been able to sell these crafts to tourists, to visitors who come to the project or to the observation site at Masaka, and this has brought them an income. They are seeing a positive income from making products sustainably from the wetland. The communities come together as a group. The group is probably given either goats or pigs, and when they are piglets or kids, then the community members are able to take them home and they can then start afresh with the piglets. This has given them an income, and many of them have taken up this activity with a lot of enthusiasm. Another income generating activity has also been seedlings. Many of the communities have got nurseries within one farm of the member, for instance, where they have seedlings which can be sold to the other farmers. A lot of this are fruit trees, avocados, mangoes, as well as passion fruits, and this has also been able to bring an income to the farmers.
As I'm telling you, especially with land conservation, our soil was being washed away by the running water of the rain. So when we joined it, we knew how to keep our soils, to preserve the soil from being eroded. So this is a very big achievement. Now our soil is not no longer taken away by the rains. The things are now growing well. So and even the harvest has improved. Yeah.
We came and we thought it is very important for us to start a group. So we already have a group we call a Nego Environmental Group, which is being used now to spread the same knowledge that we got from Kisumu to other people who have not got the knowledge. And I believe we have so many people now who have started even planting trees. And we also use the school to send the same information to the parents.
We have found that there is a lot of buy-in when we have had our trainings, had our discussions, and then we have planned together what the activities should be. Because in that way then, it's not an activity that has been brought upon them, but it's an activity that they have decided upon, and then we have been able to facilitate. This also ensures that they will be able to continue with the activity even after the project is finished. Some of the achievements that we could attribute to the program include a training of all teachers within our target schools. This for us is important because we have been able to show that education, environmental education or education for sustainable development is not just for the geography teacher or the social studies teacher. All teachers should be able to use, be they Kiswahili teachers, math teacher, and we've been able to bring that awareness. Another achievement we would say would be the awareness created through awareness days within the schools, where students from other schools as well are invited. Many of them have seen what is going on and have tried to go back to their own schools and copy the activities that are happening. Other activities are, for instance, World Environment Day activities, where the various schools or the communities through the program will organize barazas or rallies where there might be competition. The linkage is made. The students, when they go home, their parents have also been involved in the training, or their parents are fully aware of what's going on. And so there's a lot of support. The parents who form part of the board often come to many of the meetings, be they just teachers' meetings, they will often come and they will give us briefings. So there's a positive involvement of all the target groups that we are working with.
Also in the community, people used to destroy the forest looking for firewoods. But since this project came, so many people learned that the forest is very important because it brings rain. At the same time, it is a very good habitat for the wild animals, which also brings us source of income from the tourists. So what they decided that nobody should cut the trees aimlessly. And then with our women, what they do to conserve the environment, they adapted the maendeleo jikos, we call them these improved jikos. They adapted that in their houses, which uses very little or very few, only 2 firewoods.
Now if you can look around, there's no garbage littered, there's no rubbish littered everywhere, because those people are here and are ensuring the cleanliness of our environment. So they are trying to preserve nature.
To compare it with other clubs, to me, it is the best club. We have brought the eggplants, the cabbages, we have mixed there. We are working as a group. So we had to motivate them and many of them came up. We are now above 150.
But when Nature Uganda came to us and they told us to introduce these environmental clubs, then students, they started getting that idea of conserving nature, trying to start up flower gardens, okay, as we've seen, planting trees themselves, okay. Earlier on they were not used, as you are seeing it is a town school. They pay their money, they don't still think that they would do anything. So when this program was introduced, at least the students started participating, okay, active participating.
What we do for the improvement of the schools, we have these environmental competitions. So we find that some schools which are not in the program are trying to copy what is being done in the schools which are in the program. I would like to tell other school inspectors to have a close contact with the schools, a close contact with the community, and a close contact with the teachers, because the teachers are the ones who are facilitating the education, the environmental education to the pupils, and the pupils are taking the education to their parents.
Ambazo zinawafanya wanafunzi kuwajengea uwezo wa kujieleza na kujiamini. Na kutokana na hali hiyo na mafunzo haya, basi tumeinua kiwango cha taaluma, na hivyo hata wanafunzi wanafaulu wengi kwenda sekondari kuliko ilivyokuwa kabla ya mradi.
In many schools we have been able to see some changes, and we find that a lot of the schools before the program started had, for instance, bare grounds. They had gullies, there was a lot of erosion within the schools, and basically there was also, environment or EE was very much a club activity. 2 years on, we are able to see schools that are now green, grounds that are now covered, less sweeping, because many of the schools are rural schools, so there would be a lot of sweeping. One of the students' tasks in the morning would be sweep the grounds, generating a lot of dust. They have also planted grass. They've also Many of them have got woodlots with trees that are definitely growing.
Now our school compounds are very beautiful, and also our pupils are now participating in cleaning the environment. They also participate in so many activities, like during these World Environmental Days, they participate so much on poems and dramatizing things which gives a message about this program.
Ni kweli kwamba shule jirani wameitikia sana na wanapenda sana. Wanapenda sana na wao wajumuike ndani ya mradi huu ili na wao pia wapate mafunzo ya kuweza kuwajengea uwezo wa kuhifadhi mazingira kama sisi tunavyofanya. Na mara nyingi wao wanatutembelea kuja kuona tunafanyaje shughuli hizi. Na hata mashule jirani wapo wanaoiga, wanakuja kuchukua maua, wengine wanaangalia jinsi gani tunapanga mawe, jinsi gani tunapunguza mmonyoko wa udongo kwa kutandaza kokoto. Kwa hiyo wanapenda sana shule jirani, hata kata nzima na nje ya kata yetu wanapenda sana kuona mazingira haya. Kila anayekuja hapa kwa ujumla anasifia. Anatoa pongezi kwa shirika kwanza na sisi wenyewe kujitoa, kwa maana ni kazi ambayo tunafanya kwa ushirikiano mkubwa.
The main achievement, I think, to me, it will be the transformation of the community and school behaviors. We feel that there has been an attitude change. From the time we started, there were some practices which were very I could say they were very much against with environmental management, the sustainable environmental management. Throughout the program area, people were not using the toilets, which was a big issue as far as diseases are concerned. And knowing these people are living in rural areas, they were getting ill all the time. And because they don't have money, sometimes it's very difficult to go to hospitals and get treated. And because of this poverty, some of them were dying. So at least we have tried to interact with them. They now know that it is important at least to manage their wastes, including the use of toilets. And this has changed. They used to bathe, most of them, in rivers and lakes. So we are trying to encourage and we are trying to discourage them from that habit. And they show a good shift from the tradition to whatever point we feel now. The program has used existing structures to enter the communities, to enter the other stakeholders. So that was a good entry point. This is a process, and it has to involve each and everybody. Many times people create mental blocks. If you talk of environmental education, people are always referring to just the formal sector. But with us, what we have learned here as a message to all, that this cuts across from the community to the formal sector to other stakeholders within the region. So if we were to achieve our goals, everybody should be involved.
We needed to use a different approach to get people out of the wetland, because you cannot have enough resources, at least in this country, to evict everybody who is occupying a wetland or a forest or whatever illegally. And they thought it was not going to work. But from this program, we have managed to work with the people, and they have voluntarily come out of the wetland on their own. And now they are practicing the same activities that they were having in the wetland outside the wetland, and even getting better results. They were going down there to plant cabbages. These are vegetables, and these vegetables can grow very well in their compounds. Now we have got what we call kitchen gardens. That's where they're growing cabbages. They no longer go to the wetland.
We addressed the problem of water harvesting. The college had a critical problem of water, and then we addressed it at the very initial stage. The college has now bought not less than 6 plastic tanks whose capacity is 4,600 liters of water, and hence the students are now able to have their water needs provided within the college.
The other thing that I have realized is the events that we have held. If you listen to the messages that the children put in their dance, in their drama, in their poems, they are amazing.
What do you think is the main achievement? Is it a difficult word?
The great achievement that we have gained here, we have seen that each and every family use a little time to make food with very small firewood, and our environment
Then we have had these beautiful exchange visits. These exchange visits have been a very good activity for the communities. When they go and see other people outside this country, because when you compare Kenya and Uganda, the weather in Masaka is different from Masai Mara or Homa Bay and Nandi. So they see this place is green, but when they went to Masai Mara, they saw it was difficult. Then they said, wow, we need to conserve our wetland. We need to conserve our forest. So what do? That's how they came and then started making energy-saving stoves. Trying to tap the soils, making organic farming, basically improved organic farming. They use making compost, plant tea manure, getting the leaves and make plant tea fertilizers. And then they use and put in their gardens to increase produce. So that if it's a
the
big
community
banana
people are now seeing the schools as a center where they can go and get the seedlings and get even training from the teachers on how to go about doing some things for the environment. Through the educational training we have had and the exchange visits between one group community from the lower catchment to the upper catchment, there is now a realization that the people upstream are causing a problem to people downstream. The key message is, one, we should appreciate that even the small child there has a story to tell about anything in the environment. Two, it is important to appreciate the indigenous knowledge that's already inherent and build on that, because in the communities we realize that they have some very good practices, but over time they have been ignored.
Increased. There is also health and sanitation, but also collaboration with the countries. We have achieved that. It's a big achievement. The regional whole program now, we have achieved that. We have contacts in Kenya, and so I think we are really conserving our resource, Lake Victoria. It's a good thing.
WWF ERPO, together with WWF Tanzania, Wildlife Clubs of Kenya and Nature Uganda, and together with all participating schools and communities, have gained a lot of achievements and lessons learned. We hope that this will grow and expand, and that many stakeholders will join in the challenge towards learning for sustainable development.
We would like to extend our sincere thanks to the people of Sweden and through CEDA for the support that they're giving this project. I would also like to extend my thanks to the team at WWF Sweden that is supporting us. Thank you.